So let me tell you a little bit about what happened on the Three Peak journey. But first of all, I want to say a big thank you to everyone who prayed, to everyone who gave, to everyone who's just been supporting the vision and the reason for all of this in the first place. It's really meant a lot, and it's been quite the journey. I'm still a little bit sick, but I'd say the Three Peaks was probably one of the best days and worst days of my life. It was quite the adventure. So we first of all arrived at Ben Nevis. We got there on time and started to hike the mountain. I think one of our main maybe mistakes that we could edit next time was we weren't very much completion based, but we were very time based. So we really wanted to hit that mountain, do it in 5 hours. When we did the practice run with me, Janina, and a group, we did it in about 8 and a bit hours at a comfortable pace, but our goal was 5 hours. So it was quite a different speed we had to hit, but we went really far. And as we were going up, about 1,000 foot before the summit, my legs started to cramp to the point where they wouldn't bend, and I had to fall on the ground and punch them to get back up and move. So I kept going through that for the last 1,000 feet until I hit the last 100 feet. And my legs cramped up again, and so this time I hit the ground, but in a kneeling position to try and stretch out my thighs. And as I did that, I was looking down, trying to hit my thighs, and only 100 foot away from the summit, so no more than a 5-10 minute walk. We were almost there. And I looked up, and with my headlight, at this point I was alone, I was in zero visibility. I couldn't see more than 2 feet ahead of me. I had lost the marker in front and I'd lost the marker behind. So that was the point where I was like, oh Lord, I need your help. So I crawled up to the next marker, found the next marker, and at that point we were about 10 minutes behind time, and the 2 men that I was doing it with had gone on, finished, and were on the way back. So I saw their headlights coming back, and to make up time, and so that I didn't cramp up again on reaching the summit and waste more time, we went back down together. But I think the fact that I hadn't had water, I was a bit sick before starting, it was not a great combination on the way down. So I had 2 mini blackouts, which weren't the funnest situation, and we got down to the bottom in 5.5 hours, so we still were around the aim time, beat the 8 hours by a long way. But from the journey from Ben Nevis to Scafell Pike, we had to stop the car 5 times for me to throw up, I think just because my body was done after pushing it a bit too far. So I was so desperately disappointed that at Scafell Pike I was gagging again and couldn't climb the second mountain. So I was so sad. This is months of preparation and months of work trying to get this done, but sadly Scafell Pike didn't work out for me and one other team member. Amazingly, the 2 other guys in our team who are absolute machines, they went and did it, and they did an incredible job of it. And so after that one, we continued on to Snowden, and Snowden, due to me throwing up so much and due to our driver needing a sleep and being about 30 minutes off time on the other mountains, we arrived at Snowden and it was pitch black, completely overcast, just darkness. But I couldn't have trained for all these months and not at least go for this one. So I got out of the car, spoke to the group, and we said we're going to finish this one together. And so Scafell Pike was one of the worst moments of the day, plus the throwing up over a 7-hour journey. But once we got to Snowden, we committed to do it together. But as soon as we stepped on the mountain, The clouds came in, so we had about 20-foot visibility. The rain was sideways and we were soaked through within minutes. And in fact, my phone is sitting in a bag of rice over there because it broke. But we went super far up the mountain, so far up, in fact, that we were moments away from the summit. But for the last hour of the journey, the wind was so strong that we were being knocked off of our feet, plus having no visibility, losing the path on several occasions due to not being able to see and having to try and find it again. It was quite the adventure up on the mountain. So eventually it came to a climax when we passed this small ridge where we had to cling to the side of the mountain to get past it. And if we didn't, there was about an 80-foot drop followed by another drop, with the wind blowing us all over. So we were quite nervous. We all got across that, realized we were off the path once again, huddled together in a little crevice, realized our next part of the journey was to go to the top ridge where the wind would be stronger, there was no protection, and it was a straight to the summit. And we realized that as soon as we hit that ridge, we're already being knocked off of our feet. One of us is going to get blown off. So sadly, we had to make a group decision, crammed in a little crevice once again, to turn around right before the summit and come down. We chose to take the miner's track back down, which is a steep track at first and then it flattens out. That was quite the adventure because we're being blown off of our feet. So it was mostly sitting down on the steps and trying to get down as we came down Snowden. And although we didn't hit the summit itself, for Snowden, it felt like a huge achievement to have gone through all of that together and do it. So in retrospective, I think as a team, we've said we're doing it again next year because we want to complete it. We want to touch every peak. But next year, we're going to be peak-based rather than time-based. We're going to make sure we go together, touch every peak, and whatever time, whether that's 30, 32 hours, then that will be fine with us. We're not going to push our bodies to the limit necessarily for 24 hours, but it was an exciting journey. Super appreciate all of your prayers. So what's next? So I'll continue doing a little bit of fundraising for the coming ministry, but by March of next year, I'm hoping to be taking groups out on these wild hiking trips. Nothing as crazy as the Three Peaks, although I've certainly learned a lot from the Three Peaks challenge that I can put into practice in the coming ministry. But super excited for this ministry to get off the ground. This whole trip proved even more how when you're in nature, when you're pushed to your limits, when you're just sitting down in the middle of beautiful places, it's so nice to connect with God, and God is so faithful to speak. So once again, a huge thank you, and God bless.